Good morning everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this particular video, I will be doing an in-depth analysis behind the re-installment of capitalism within Canada. In a previous video that I've just shared on my Facebook page, according to the daily series, you may find I have just left off at the video known as How to Instill Communism. In the installment of communism, we see 5 particular factors take place in order for a communist ideology to instill itself within a nation, such as the shutting down of an economical structure known as its resource, its economic backbone, generating wealth, such as oil and gas, lumber, and steel within Canada. We then see the shutdown of the agricultural system, preventing the nation from being able to sustain itself within its own nation. We then see a shutdown of the education system, rewiring a new ideology, which then popularizes in its exponential development. We then see the death of faith within the individual level. And ultimately, the finalizing installment process of communism results in what is known as a genocide. Now, whom is to blame for leftist ideology? Well, a guy like Karl Marx might be of a result of developing this particular mentality. But we are leaving said mentality behind within Canada. As of today, dated August 15th, 2026, beyond the first economic crash under the Mark Carney rule as Prime Minister, we saw Canada experience the limitations of communism, which is to go broke, essentially. Now, in the re-installment of capitalism within Canada, what might be the very first thing that needs to occur in order to re-instill capitalism? In order to regenerate wealth, a country must once again restructure their economic backbone, re-strengthen their resource producing ability, such as oil and gas. Under Mark Carney, we saw the failures of capitalism, where now we are actively once again seeing the re-installment of capitalism. In the failure of communism under Mark Carney, we then see him strike a deal to a Western province, a conservative province. And in said deal, we are to create more production of oil, and we're also seeing a shipment of oil heading east through the development of a pipeline. Now, ultimately, the rebirth of Canada is not led by Mark Carney. The rebirth of Canada is taking place as a result of one particular individual, a woman named Danielle Smith. Through Danielle Smith, even during the Alberta separation referendum, even through Danielle Smith, Canadians saw a hope to build and rebuild from having gone broke, known as a recession. And Danielle Smith is the leading cause pulling us out of this recession. In acts of desperation, we saw Mark Carney admit his fault when Canada became the only country within the G7 to experience a recession. In said recession, we saw the irresponsible spending of Mr. Mark Carney, resulting in a rapid deterioration of Canada's economic structure. The price of living had gone up, the price of affording a house had gone up, the price of affording goods, such as consumer goods, had gone up, the price of fuel to go to work had gone up. Everything had gotten more expensive. And in Canada, no longer being able to generate wealth, such as the first installment of communism within Canada. Beyond finding the limitations of communism within Canada, we see once again the re-installment of capitalism, giving a country and its people the ability to regenerate wealth once again, beginning at reintroducing the stimulus of our economy, that which is our ability to generate wealth through oil and gas. In the regeneration of the oil and gas industry, we then see once again one particular woman named Danielle Smith, which is leading the way for Canada to be reborn. In the liberal ideology that had been spoken for the last 10 years, we saw a push to shut down our economic power, our agriculture, a redoing of our schooling system, which ultimately shut down the faiths of people. And now we arrive here today, a rebirth. Within Canada, a province such as Alberta, which was threatening to leave, during this entire time, all of Canada pointed the finger in Alberta and said, "How can you leave?" Meanwhile, when Quebec had been doing it this entire time, nobody batted an eye. Which points the finger back at Alberta, the exemplary province of all of Canada. Within Alberta, a conservative-driven province that puts its people first. In the previous elections, we saw two provinces, such as Quebec and Ontario, being a result of why Canada became liberal. As a result of 500,000 voters in the entire country, the most votes stimulated, resulting in the most seats stimulated, as a result of specifically just Quebec and Ontario being voted into power, all of Canada would go liberal. Which, if one province can be pointed to, such as Alberta, the example, we are actively ruled by the East, known as Ontario and Quebec. Two provinces ruling all of Canadian civilization, which once again points the finger at Alberta. And now we arrive here today at Alberta, which is the rebirth of the Canadian economics beyond the point of recession we have just seen through the Prime Minister of Mark Carney. Behind Danielle Smith are proud Albertans. Albertans that have and continue to prove themselves throughout the Canadian culture, being its backbone. In Alberta, we see a particular set of values, which even in Alberta, not only is the production of oil and gas, but we also have a large agricultural sector, which is being once again re-strengthened. Our economic and agricultural sectors are being re-strengthened. Our education system is being re-strengthened. Our faiths and beliefs of people are being re-strengthened. And ultimately, we are seeing a change in trajectory, not only just as Albertans, but as a Canadian nation. The driving force that I ask of you now as a Albertan, we have the chance to remake this entire country. And in remaking this entire country will be as a result of one particular woman. The one leading the cause, known as Danielle Smith. Personally, I've never had the honor of meeting Danielle Smith. But based on the values she represents, the way she presents herself, her encouragement and development for our resources is the reason Canada still functions to this day. Now, as a woman of power, we see Danielle Smith arise polarities within people, just as any politician. But predominantly we see the opposing polarity of Danielle Smith being from women. In the discovery of a newly led Canada, I would argue that for every woman to place their faith behind a woman like Danielle Smith, that is an example you can lead your life from as a woman. Look at the work she has put for this country, for Alberta. And look at the work she has presented for all of the people that which love her as a leader. In my prophesizing, I ultimately see Danielle Smith have two paths forward in life. To strengthen Alberta, or to strengthen all of Canada. And ultimately, both decisions will have the same effect. But if I may now, to Premier Smith, I believe that you will be the first Prime Minister of Canada that which will be a woman. And whether said title is achieved or written, in your power, you are already the Prime Minister of Canada. You have given a rebirth to this Canadian civilization. You have given hope to those that even during dark times, such as the economic battles that all Canadians have faced, you continued to stimulate the economy, resulting in jobs, opportunities, ways for individuals to see how they may be responsible for their own success, which is a fundamental value behind all human life. You are to be responsible for your own success, and you also are given a society that you may draw support from in order to achieve said success. The fundamental core values of a conservative government. Which is why I'm here today, to speak regarding the re-installment of capitalism within the Canadian country. August 15th, 2026, we are seeing a rebirth in Canada, in trajectory, and in hope for all people as a result of one woman. Thank you, Danielle Smith. Thank you.